you know.
We just need to learn how to activate our secret powers and start learning how to fly.
Holy Spirit, activate. Holy Spirit, activate.
I was thinking about
Holy
that.
Spirit, activate. Holy Spirit, activate. Holy Spirit. Okay.
Welcome back to Chocolate Espresso Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Newair. What a Fletcher fans, I ain't too picky. We got our crew back in the studio. Go ahead.
What up? What up?
Hey. Sorry.
You good?
Hey.
Oh, that's it? That's wild. Y'all, we got it's 2025 and we got a new president. Let's talk about some of the stuff he's been doing.
Oh, man. What if you had mixed feelings?
That's okay.
Who
Yeah.
got mixed feelings?
Like, what if there's somebody who's like got a bad outlook on life, but they're doing something that you do kind of agree with, but you know that they're doing it for all the wrong reasons?
That's crazy. You know what though? She's heard me say it a couple hundred times at this point. Every president is going to do things you like and don't like.
That's
You
true.
can always focus
That's
on
true.
the things you don't like, and that's all they're going to push because that's what sells. And they're going to do things you like, and it's going to get stuffed.
Right.
Or like you said, it might be coming from the wrong place. But hey, you agree with what this thing that they're doing is. I'm gonna leave it there. Every president's gonna do things you like and don't like. People don't want to admit that, but that's just the truth.
That's reality, especially here in this country.
Tell me, okay, wait, but tell me one thing you like though.
One thing I like,
Yeah.
so don't cancel us.
I'm canceling you already.
Don't cancel us. But he did sign legal documents saying that there are only 2 genders.
Oh, okay. I don't care if you cancel me for that.
Like,
Go ahead.
And I'm like, and I was like, okay. Because personally for me, and I think people like as adults or whatever, or people who want to just do whatever they want to do without limitations are like, oh my God. But I've actually seen the confusion on my stepbaby's face and on my little sister's face as they've gone to school and literally a kid is like, I'm a fairy. And they are just like stuck. They are so stuck. They're literally asking me like, so like, how long have fairies been around? Like, what's a fairy? Like, were you a fairy in your day? And I'm like, nah, I was not no fairy.
I feel like my question as a kid, if somebody were to come up to me and say I'm a fairy, I'd be like, for real? Like, in real life? Like, really?
Like, you got, like, how far does this go? Like, what can you do? Like,
Right. So you can fly.
What bathroom are you supposed to use? Is there a placard with a little fairy with a wand on?
right,
Nah, your mama the tooth fairy?
right.
That's
She
crazy.
owe me some money.
That's crazy. You know what though?
Conversation.
I've never considered that though. Like imagine having a child and then they come home and they're asking all kinds of questions like, oh, today I met my new like students or my peers.
Right.
One's a fairy, the other one doesn't go by anything. The other one
one's
is
a
this.
fairy, one's
and now they got
nothing, the other
questions.
one's
They're like,
trans.
there's 10 boys in my class. There's 8 girls in my class. There's 2 fairies. I don't know what that is. But yeah, my teacher's nice. Like, that's exactly how
And
that
then the
would go.
teacher told us that we have to be extra nice to the fairies because they're fairies, and fairies don't always get treated right.
And I was thoroughly confused by
You're
that,
like-
Mom. How does that work?
Yeah, it's like any kid is just gonna be like, "Hey, yo, help me out, help me out here."
I'm not a parent, but as a parent, I can only imagine, like, especially if you're of an older generation, like, to be fair, I mean, babies are having babies, so I mean, not whatever, but not dealing with that. Like, when we were going to high school, we didn't really have none of that. It was like, it was cut
Even
and dry.
the conversations that were brung up about it in the most inclusive spaces were just like, oh, don't be a bully. Like, you know, like that was the premise of it. That was the whole premise of it. And after that, you were like, yeah, well, I'm not a mean person. Cool. I don't care. Live your life. And then I went back to playing video games. Like, that was it.
It's crazy how, like, we graduated a decade ago.
That's hard to believe, man. Don't say it like that.
It's been a minute. But imagine, though, because, like, low-key, within 2 years, like the year after I graduated at a minimum, like things started changing.
Immediately,
and within
yeah.
5 years, like
It went 180.
completely
It was 180.
different. And I'm just like, wow, what happened? Like, how did it get to this point? And I don't know. We're getting a little off topic, but okay. But you like that. Okay.
Yeah. I just think overall, even if you wanted to be whatever, like that scientific, when you go to a doctor and they're like trying to figure out what's going on with your body. You're not like, I'm a dragon. like
yo.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It forces a level of seriousness in these high-octane situations, because I know people... I don't know people, but I've seen people take it to the extreme, and it's like they won't say anything else but this, and they'll make an act of it, and it's like, okay, now you're just disturbing.
I mean,
you're just disturbing the peace. People are trying to help you. The EMTs here, they need to figure out if
the
you have
EMTs here.
They committed. Like, what's wrong with that? Take them to a veterinarian instead of a hospital. See how far it goes. It was like the what's wrong with, like there was one where the guy or the girl was a cat. Like that's all she did. That was like that was her whole persona, and she would go to school dressed like it.
That's that one you're talking about? They got pulled over. And
yeah, that's not the one I'm talking about. But yeah, I remember that video.
He said, "Should we take you to jail or the pound?"
And then told the passenger, you know what? I can go get a therapist here, and we can go through this whole motion because you're really considering having your friend here, the driver, go to the vet, get what was it, spayed or neutered, depending on however you identify.
He's like, he doesn't have a
like
license.
That's so.
He doesn't have a license because he's a cat. And he's like, okay, well,
an unlicensed person is in the vehicle. An unlicensed entity.
No, but they were the driver. That made it even worse. That was the driver.
That was doing that?
The driver was acting like a cat. Well, saying that they were a cat.
Say it was a cat. So
these are things that I feel like only a certain type of demographic do. Because as me, as a man of color, was to do the same thing, I feel like I wouldn't get as far.
That's wild.
They'd put this puppy down.
He said they would immediately drag me out of the car.
Immediately. Psych ward.
You got one thing so far that you're aware of that he did that you liked?
No.
Okay. She said that so quick. Absolutely not.
No.
No chuckles?
I don't know what you want me to say. What else do you need? Is there more?
No. If he has done nothing that you like so far, then
you know what?
cool.
And actually, we probably should have pulled this up before we started recording. Our bad. But I'm gonna pull up the executive orders. Now, granted, there's 200 of them.
There's 200 of them.
There's 200 of them.
I only know about
like
2.
10 days, less than that. However,
this man getting to work.
I'm gonna pull him up.
While you pull that up, I'm gonna say what I.
This man said overtime.
I'm gonna say what I liked, and she's heard me say it, so she's kind of over it. But I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna leave it here. If I have to give, I think everybody should at least give him this. There's no way you can't, because you got to give it to him. The man ran a campaign, said he was going to do X, Y, and Z. He got in and immediately did X, Y, and Z. He started pulling out executive order after executive. He started signing away.
So I can. That was my dilemma, because it's like, ooh, because there's one thing to say something. But then I think I did get to a point when we've constantly been let down, like Vikings to the Super Bowl. We've been constantly let down, you know. So you get to a point where it's like, you know, I'm not even expecting much. I'm just rooting for y'all for fun or not, you know, regardless.
I'm just here for the
I'm just here for the ride. Yeah. But then when you actually see certain things happening, and these things, once they do become executive orders, that's legal. Like this is
they have to. He can execute it, and then they have to fight it to stop it.
They have to fight it to stop it. This executive order will now influence the perspective of the regular general public, as a company, as a business, as people, as etiquette. All of that stuff's going to try and adapt to that, and some things will go easier and harder than others. So then it's like, also, well, then you got to, now he's making it, he's really showing like the consequence of what people are asking for. I think that's what's been scary. Now it's like, oh, well, do I really want this? Because some of these executive orders can come out with certain guns blazing. Like literally,
100%.
Like literally. So it's like, okay, do you really want a president to do what they're supposed to do, or do you like the hoopla, the fun little thing that has been
the pony show that
the pony show? Because if someone comes in here and starts doing stuff, when we have the ICE conversation, people who've been here for a while don't have papers or
going home.
Like they're pulling up to jobs. They are yogging you out the shift.
I think what I hate about that is them pulling up to
traumatic.
schools.
Schools too is horrible.
That's what's like.
Because for adults it's traumatic, but for a kid
bothering
that's
me so bad. Yeah. Like we're that desperate.
Right.
We're that desperate. That's what we're doing.
Right.
To
pulling
babies
them out of school, pulling them out of school.
Yeah. You know what though?
And then what the problem for me is I'm also having a little bit of a dilemma because
just won't stay up.
I even get the whole immigration conversation, but then you have people. There's two sides of it where there are immigrants that are like, okay, fine, take me, but my kid was born on the soil. But now that's also being brought into question if that's legitimate now. Like even if you do have a birth certificate at ABC hospital down the street and your kid's 5 years old, that's not our responsibility. Take them with you. But then I understand if they get left, then they got the foster care system, which we already know is not great.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that. If you're going to get rid of the parent, take the child with them.
But then there are immigrants who are saying, like, leave the child because I want to give them a better chance. Some of them are from dangerous places. So, like, they know if they go back, it's like, all right, I would be going into HE double hockey sticks. So I get the dilemma as a parent because both sides make sense. Leave my kid here so they can have a better life, or take your kid with you so you can still be a parent. You know,
right?
Both of those are hard.
But like I said, I mean, how many other presidents ran around on a campaign and said they were going to do this?
Said they was going to do 20 things.
The man didn't even take a week before. The man had to replace his pen twice. Come on, let's be real. I was like, I'm not saying you have to agree with any of his executive orders. I'm not saying you have to like anything he did. I'm just saying if you can't sit back and just say, hey, you know what, the man ran and said he was going to do this,
and he's doing what
and
he
immediately did it.
I feel like that approach is better.
Hear me out. So this is why I think she's heard it 1,000 times already. But this is why I feel like if you don't like Trump, fine. I can respect your political opinion. All right? I respect everybody's political opinion. Right. That being said, if the next president runs a campaign trail saying they're going to undo everything he did, if the next president says, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and he doesn't do it day 1 to day 7,
right?
I'm talking replace your pen 3 times over because you have to undo everything he did. I don't understand why y'all not screaming from the rooftops impeach like y'all did him. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I feel like. It doesn't make any sense. The next president that says, oh, it's too complicated, it's so hard because you got to deal with all these hurdles. Right. And this man just walked up in here and did everything.
Right. That's what's going to be. This is going to be what he said is he set gas. He's put fire under the butts of any president that comes after his term.
Yep.
Because he's done. He knows that. Right. He knows he's like, all right, this is my second term.
This is my last time.
I'm about to flip.
I'm going to hit it running.
And so now the next person that comes in, let's say you hate it. It's deplorable. You want to go against it. That good or bad, you're going to need the next president to be like that, proactive, and actually be like, okay, so this we've all voted on was good, okay, whatever, and we want to change these policies. I'm going to go in and I'm going to take steps to change these policies. And then if nothing happens, yeah, I'm going to scream impeach, even if you were the person I voted for, because get you out, get the next person in. Like, ain't there a vice president? Rotate. Like, you know what I'm saying?
We don't want him either.
We don't want the rotate.
No, like I said, I say what I said. At this point, all I feel like is
because that's a character trait. It's not a personality trait, right? You can like or not like somebody. If they are saying they're going to get work done,
are you done messing with the microphone?
It won't stay where I want it to stay. I want it to be here.
Is it tight enough?
It is tight. I don't know.
Here.
It's still loose.
This is where I want.
Okay.
She's like, it's just
but
being
as soon
difficult.
as I put this, see?
Yeah, so you touched it, though. It was fine. I said what I said. Like I said, I feel like at this point, I feel like everybody has to give him that. At the bare minimum, the man ran a campaign, and he just proved to all of us it's possible. They all ran a campaign, said that they were going to do this, and then they sat around and were like, oh, I couldn't because of this, or it was really hard, or I have to work with. The man came in the first day and started signing away left and right, and every state, for the most part, has all sat there and said, I don't agree with this, and I'll see him in court. So they're fighting it, but for the meantime, they have to abide by it. So and the next president that gets in says they're going to undo, and then they taking a year plus to do it when they just prove that you didn't have to. I ain't trying to hear that.
Or they missed the whole term. Because I would understand. I understand like there's a process, right? So even if it wouldn't get done day 1, like 2 years in, I should be seeing the fruits of that labor that you put in from day 1, right? But for a whole term and then like nothing is like legitimately been done, then I'd be like, nah, you was just playing around. Especially if you're showing up in TVs and newsletters and all this stuff about me being a president, like that would bother me.
But you know what though? I think that it's a mental disability. But if you think about it, at the very, very, very least, the people who voted for him because they knew that he would enact. He would actually day 1 or day 5 things would actually change
do
or
something.
yeah. Now I don't. Do I agree? No.
Right.
But they knew that he would actually be doing
He
something.
had the trait
you know?
of doing the work. Like
He put in the work for it.
he would definitely write it down.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that the majority of voters voted for him. He had the popular vote and the electoral vote. This is what the people wanted.
I said mental disability, didn't I?
Now you're just attacking people. I don't know. I think the last thing on this, and then we can get to the fruit of this episode. I just think at this point too, it's a scary thought to believe that, and this is where I think the whole scary part can come into play. If the next president comes in and doesn't make that change, and let's say they're Democratic. Let's just say they don't care to make the change. Now you know exactly where our government was in the first place. You know exactly what they really wanted from the beginning. They wanted a president to take the downfall. And now that let's say Trump was the downfall, the fall guy, the next one's going to come in and they ran a campaign. They say, "Oh, I'm going to do it," and then they don't do it. Or let's say he tries and they go to court and then they keep it because that's especially if they keep it. And the president that said I was going to get rid of it and he lost, that goes to show exactly what your government really is.
Yep.
Now you really know what it's like.
Yep.
Just keep that. That's where I think it's scary. It's the knowing that the next one comes in, wants to undo it, and can't because the rest of the government agrees with it from both sides. That's the scary part.
It will be a testament. It will be a do or die situation of flexible government or rigid, hard system, which was what would be reflected there. If somebody else comes in with adverse beliefs to what was instilled and is able to change it because they were the popular vote and make change, it will show that you do have a level of power. However, if that person comes in, adverse beliefs, goes against to change, and like you said, gets blocked, gets hardwalled, then it's like, okay, yeah, it will prove that the presidency is a pseudo position, and the Supreme Court and the government behind it is the ones who are making the decision. People at that point, people will lose hope on the presidency and just divert their attention, or at least you would hope.
I'll say this too, and then we'll get to. Were we looking up the executive orders? Okay. I truly believe, and I would love to see this in my lifetime, and I highly doubt it'll ever happen. Every position in the government, federal, that has to do with law making, or law, like when your vote that you have to vote to pass something needs to be, your position needs to be voted in by the people, not elected, not appointed. You have to be voted.
Especially not like the system we have now, a place where it's like, oh, popular, high votes matter here, higher thing. Yeah, no.
I mean, even if that were the case, it doesn't really matter because people voted for him. They voted.
Right. But at least you had a flimmer of hope. Let's say if it's because he's out in 4 years.
Okay.
Right.
So it's the same thing with the Supreme Court justices. You need to be out every 4 years, but we can't. They're there for life. They're lifers.
Right. They're spending from some of them 40 to 80 years in that position.
Yeah, that don't make any sense. Like, no, you need to be.
And I don't know if y'all know about old people,
for.
but old people are not flexible people.
No, yeah, their minds
flexible.
are once they're set in their ways.
If I grew up in segregation and I am Supreme Court in 2020, I'm not gonna say that person has an open mind. I can't. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah,
wow,
you get to make the decisions for me, a black man trying to take care of my family.
I also want to say that when the inauguration happened, didn't I say that the poorest person in that room probably made over 120K? And that was probably the guy taking the photos, working for a news anchor or whatever. I just want to point that out. Everybody in that room got money. Come on.
Right.
They're not representing the people.
It's almost at this point like I just want to make enough money to just with the government, because pretty much that's what it is. Like if you make enough money, whatever the government says, you can just sponsor something that does the opposite and like send your kids there, and like they can do whatever they want. It's exclusive, so it's like
let's see some of them executive orders, please. What you got?
Okay.
First executive order: stop drinking Red Bull.
I mean, you know what?
There's going to be tariffs on that too. Red Bull's going to go up by $2 because it comes from Mexico, even though they got plants here. It's crazy.
Okay, this is from the Holland and Knight website, which I don't know if there's another. I'm sure there's other websites, but the first one that I pulled here, at least. And these are in no particular order of like how he signed them, how it came about.
Just
you know,
a list
these are
in
just
general.
Okay. So First order was Unleashing American Energy. The executive order puts forth a federal energy policy agenda that seeks to establish American energy dominance through a combination of
chocolate espresso ASMR.
Clearly.
You just hear that.
It distracted me. I'm like, what?
That water was crisp.
It really was. Through a combination of new policy action as well as rescinding several executive orders from the Carter and Biden administration. These actions seek to support traditional energy exploration and production, reassesses regulations that might hinder energy and economic development. Revise the permitting process to fast-track traditional energy projects, promote domestic mining and processing of non-fuel minerals, including rare earth minerals, ensure adherence to legislation.
Legislation.
She's like,
Just couldn't read that word. Ensure adherence to legislation as it was written, and pause disbursement.
Okay.
Of funds made available under the Inflation Reduction Act, IRA, and bipartisan infrastructure law.
That's crazy. So I just want to say that the mineral mines and traditional power sources has more to do with the fact that they want to reopen up coal plants and stuff like that. Now, here's the thing: if that's probably coming from the idea that if Canada's going to cut off our source of energy,
that's been in conversation.
You know what? I'll put it here and I'll leave it. I think we should be moving towards a more renewable resource. I think nuclear power is exactly that. It has not the potential. It's capable of powering an entire state with only a few plants easily. And the technology today is safe and reliable.
Yeah.
I think the incidences where you can say like, well, look,
I think 100 years ago it was a lot more dangerous.
It was a lot more dangerous, but it's a lot more safe. We've already proved what happens at a war, right? What did Russia do? They took over the plant and they worked to make sure that they didn't have another Chernobyl on their hands because they realized, okay, we can't do that. Not to say if things really hit the fan that they're not going to be a target, but what do? You put bases near them or you secure them. So,
and the U.S. government has already I think it's already in law that they have to be supervising each one. Directly. Like if you work for a nuclear power plant, you are reporting and registered through the federal government. Like you have to get.
Yeah, it's security. So that being said, I think when it comes to energy, I think we should be moving towards it. I agree with the Democrats when they wanted to do something like that. I think they went about it completely horribly when they attempted whatever they attempted. That being said, I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting 4 years. I just think that I'm going to put it there.
So it's going to be quite something because demanding that we make electric, hydrogen, and battery operated electric vehicles as a mandate, as a government mandate.
I do not agree with that either.
And everybody in my mechanic shop is just like, we want manuals.
Yeah. If they want,
you're going in the wrong way.
If they want efficiency, CTVs are probably the most efficient transmission you can get, and when you double that down with a three banger or a 4-banger, it's limitless. You can easily push on like a small little sedan, like what would be like the Corolla.
Right, the Corolla, the
Minnesotan,
the Prius, the
Camrys. Those, if you were to make them lighter, you easily get 30, 40 miles per gallon. Right. On a CTV mode, come on.
We just need to learn how to activate our secret powers and start learning how to fly.
Holy Spirit, activate. Holy Spirit, activate.
I was thinking about
Holy Spirit, activate. Holy Spirit, activate. Holy Spirit. Okay. Are we going to go to the next one?
I got a quick question for y'all.
Go ahead.
People who grew up with social media will have less interpersonal communication skills. You agree?
Yes. That's
yes,
hands down.
We didn't have to
Hands
collect,
down.
go,
Dang.
skip through squares.
Give me one quick
Yes.
reason why. Go.
Interacting with the computer, especially ones that are not even personable, even with the advancement of AI, is proof that we cannot communicate properly. So you practice dealing with the computer rather than dealing with human beings. And that, by default, will make you less responsive to dealing with human beings, unable to read social cues, lack of intellectual and comprehensive conversation, which is what we're seeing in a byproduct now, even just after something as small as COVID coming in for a few years.
We have lived in both eras. Y'all do realize that, right?
Literally.
We have lived in both eras.
And after.
And I say that to say we have lived in both eras, and we, even in our generation, have horrible communication skills.
Right.
So that goes to show you that should have been the start of the,
The
how
downfall.
that was going to, the downfall, how that affects us.
Right. COVID wasn't the introduction. It was just the final. It was the
Icing on the cake.
The icing on cake, the straw that
We
broke
haven't
the
even
back.
put the candles on or lit it yet.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your was that yours or?
Well, I mean, I was saying that, but also like, oh wow, excuse me, guys. So yeah, like we in our generation, we don't have great communication skills. We were the era of the. I mean, I guess you could say it
The
started a little bit
introduction?
before us, but we were the era of the Black People Meet and the Black Planet and the
Yep.
we were the era of that. We were the start of that. Moving away from the hey, how you doing at the bar, or hey, how you doing at the club, or hey, how you doing in a supermarket or in person, and shifting to online communication.
Hey, shawty.
So with us saying that, with that being the case, you can already tell like the generation after us, they don't know anything other than that. They don't be talking to each other in school.
No.
They are the generation who started the posting a video. Can you find this person for me? And everybody in the comment section like, they're 2 feet away from you. Go and talk to them. They are in the room with you.
I tell you one thing. This generation good at investigation. Like you said, the internet will win if you want them to find you something. If it exists, they can find it for you. Heck, even if it doesn't exist, they can find a way to make it for you.
Oh yeah,
I'll tell you that.
They have found people at their jobs off for one hatred post.
Yes.
And gotten them fired in the week.
Yes.
Within the week. And now you know
Great
what?
for forensics.
That if you really want to be honest, that's probably the first start of that whole, you saying he got into office and he was able to make something happen within the first week. That's the first start of that. Us.
Happened immediately.
We
practice expedition.
Yeah.
So
all right, well, we got our answers. Thanks for watching this episode. Hey, we're gonna do a part 2. Probably got to split it up because we didn't even get to the whole point of this episode.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tune back in. It's all right. You can do it.
we
you can do it.
We got to the point of the episode.
It's popping right up on the screen.
We got one.
You can click it.
We got
Go
to the
click
point
it.
of the episode. Just you know what? Tune into part 2.
Just come to part 2. You know it ain't right unless we're
Shimmy
here.
on over to part 2 with your shenanigans.